Welcome to Excel. So this is our first chapter with Excel. You should have taken the pre-test already, and most of you are probably having some type of anxiety about it, but fear not. I'll work you through everything you need to know. But for most of you, this is going to be brand new, so it is imperative that you pay attention to these videos and you watch what's going on, because Excel is very different than Word and PowerPoint. Excel is dealing with data, so it's very numbers and mathematically driven. Everything that we do in life, some way, shape, or form, we're collecting data. You may not even think it, but most of the time we are collecting data. And one thing that's nice about Excel is that it allows us to harness whatever type of data we are collecting, and it allows us to display that and summarize it in ways that allow other people to read it easily. So we're going to create, for this example, we're going to create a sample worksheet, and we're going to embed a chart in there as well, just by adding in a few numbers. So our objectives here, we're going to look at the Excel worksheet, and I'm actually going to cover that a little bit more in class than I am right now. That's going to be more of an in-class thing. Entering the text and numbers, I mean, that's very basic in terms of how to do it. All you got to do is click in a cell and then start typing. The sum button and the range of cells. This is critical. I'll cover this in pretty good detail. It's very easy to use these functions, but you have to know where you're applying it to. Copying the contents, that's going to be using what's called the fill handle. It looks like a little plus sign. It's a little black plus sign. Cell styles, making your project look good and presentable. You want to make sure that everything looks nice and neat. We're going to create a clustered chart. We'll change the worksheet name. Don't worry about the documents. I'll show you how to preview and print a worksheet, but we won't actually do that physically. And then the auto calculate we're not going to worry about, and the correcting errors we're not going to worry about. So it gives you an idea of what we're going to be covering here through this example. Okay, so this is what I'm going to create here by the time it's all said and done. We'll have this option, and you can see the one thing that most people tend to fear a lot is the fact that they say, well, look at all these numbers. There's just all these numbers that I have to do. If you look at it, really, the only thing that you're calculating here is the total here and the total here. Everything else you're just typing in. So you don't have to worry so much. It's just a matter of inputting data. That's the hardest part with Excel, is inputting the data. Once you input the data, everything else will take care of itself. It's just understanding how to manipulate that data and make it work for you. Okay, looking at the guidelines here, we're going to cover all this stuff. So you want to make sure you know what titles and or subtitles you have. You want to look at the contents. So what row headings, what column headings do you need? How do you need to label them? What calculations do you have to have? So do you need to add something? Do you need to subtract something? Do you have to use more of a complex formula? Are you using a function? There's a difference between a function and a formula. Where are you going to save it? How are you going to save it? How are you going to format it? What type of chart are you going to need, if you need one? And how are you going to position that? How are you going to format it? What's the name going to be? Okay, things like that. Those are all very important. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and open up Excel. And this is my basic Excel spreadsheet here. You can see that there are grid lines with little boxes all throughout. Okay, each one is a different cell, and each cell has a different name. If you look to the far left hand side here, right now I'm in cell I11. Think of it like bingo almost. Okay, here's my columns. These are my columns. I'm in column I. Here's my rows. I'm in row 11. Okay, all you got to do is connect them. So these are all of the cells that I have. It's set up almost identical to the way Microsoft Word is, but there's more numbers driven functions and buttons associated with Excel than there is with Word. But again, make sure you take your time with Excel if you are not comfortable with it. If you try to rush through this, you're going to end up in a world of hurt because you're going to be extremely confused when we get to more advanced chapters. So one thing you have to understand, especially in Excel, each chapter is going to build on the last one. So it's very important that you understand how to do the most basic tasks, because those most basic tasks are going to be extremely important later on down the road. So with the sample project that we're going to do today, first thing I'm going to do is set up my title and my subtitle. So I'm always going to start out for this project here. I'm going to start off in cell A1, and I'm just going to start typing. Save, Sable, River Foundation. Now, we should have covered this in class, but if you notice, the title goes all the way over to cell C1. But if you click inside cell C1, and if you look in the formula bar, there is nothing there. That is because this entire text is located in cell A1. Okay? But because there's nothing else in B or C, it continues and wraps right over through. If I were to type in something in cell B1, this text then tucks in behind the cell so that whatever's in here can be displayed. So that's how that displays, and that's how Excel works in terms of the cells. So I have my title, and then I'm going to type in my subtitle as well. So we are creating a summary of a fundraiser for this foundation. So I've got a title and I have a subtitle. Okay. Now from there, what I want to start working on is my column headings. So we're going to have two things here. We're going to have column headings and we're going to have row headings. The first thing that we want to do, we want to start off is include our row headings. Now I'm going to start here in cell B3 because our row headings are going to be going in column A. So again, it's all about understanding within the worksheet where you're inputting your data. So I'm going to plug in all of the names. And you can see that they get wrapped over as I type. And then I end with a total. So remember, if the text goes too far, it's going to get tucked in underneath. And you can see in each formula bar, as I go over, you can see there's the whole text. So the text is still there, it does not get deleted. It just gets tucked in behind. Okay. So with the column headings, now we're going to go to our row headings. And again, I'm just going to start typing. I'll hit enter as I go down. You can use the tab key to go across. You can use arrow key. You can use the enter key. There's a lot of ways to navigate through the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, total. All right. So I've got my column headings. I've got my row headings. Okay, now one thing to understand, I'll cover this here real quick. One thing to understand, again, I can't stress this enough, is understanding where your titles are going. By default, most people always just start up here in the top left-hand corner. There are millions, literally millions of cells available in an Excel spreadsheet, but most people always just start in the very top. So you can use, again, like I said, you can use a tab, you can use the right arrow key. There's lots of options to maneuver through your document here. And then as you go down, you can press the enter key as well. So again, you can see here, everything gets tucked in behind, okay? And then down arrow, you can also use the enter key to go all the way down as you're typing in. So far right now, it shouldn't be too difficult. All you're doing is just typing in, you're organizing your spreadsheet. So really what we're creating here are tables, okay? That should not be too hard. The more difficult piece is probably for most of you, it's going to be not the input of data, but formatting that data is where most of you will most likely struggle. So in the next video here, we're going to start plugging in the numbers, and then we'll talk about summing that and getting it all set up.